Hi, I'm Will from Tested.
I'm Norm from Tested.
Norm, Nexus 7, Nexus 7, Nexus 7,
oh,
Nexus 7.
leave your guy. It's in my hand.
It's a tiny little tablet from Google.
Oh my goodness. Also Asus.
Asus, Google, NVIDIA.
I'm turning it on.
3 companies involved. People know your pattern now.
Oh, I can change my pattern anytime.
Okay.
It's the Google Nexus 7, which is actually shipping now to people. Google announced it at Google I/O
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a month ago, and it gave it out there, so people have actually had it. But this is the Google Nexus tablet.
Yes.
The stock Android Jelly Bean tablet that we've been waiting for. It's 7 inches.
No skins.
Nope.
No AT&T navigator maps.
Nope. Well, no cellular. Period. No carrier ties.
No MP3 players. No. Well, I mean, except for the default one. It's all stock software. I'm so excited about this because this should be the promise of the Android tablet we've been waiting for since the first Zoom came out. What, like a year and a half ago?
I'm gonna even say since the first Samsung Galaxy Tab came out.
Oh, that was such a bad piece of hardware.
Yes, that was also a 7-inch tablet.
Yes.
So obviously the iPad is 9.7 inches, and Google decided that their tablet should be 7 inches smaller. Small enough and light enough to use.
It's one-handy.
With one hand. My hands aren't even that big.
Filthy.
And
what would you need to do with your other hand while you're using a tablet, Norm?
Actually touch the screen. Because while it's a 7-inch tablet, the use case is not like a Kindle where you can hold with one hand and just hit the buttons on the left and right.
Okay.
You actually have to use your other hand to navigate.
I don't find that the case, actually. Oh, well, okay. Once I'm inside an app.
I can't hit the Chrome browser. Switch hands. It really is still a two-handed device.
Hammy.
One hand to hold, one hand to touch.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about the hardware.
Okay.
7-inch screen.
Yes, it is an IPS screen.
Okay.
IPS, 1280 by 800. While that's not as high in pixel density as the iPad, technically, I still found it's very sharp.
Yeah.
At arm's length, the pixels, I'm not going to say imperceptible, but they don't bother you.
When I'm reading comics, so I bought a couple apps, comics from Comixology, and when I went in there, I was able to see on portrait orientation pages read fine. I didn't have to jump into the guided view until we got into full-page spreads.
Yeah, so with comics, because that's a big use case for me for tablets, I did find that the 7-inch size not big enough.
To be clear, the iPad is definitely better in this case. Same thing for magazines.
And if you turn over to the landscape mode for 2-page spreads, definitely too tiny to read comfortably on this tablet. I did notice that there is light color banding, even though it's an IPS screen. If you look at some really, like for example, my wallpaper here, which is a really high resolution JPEG, you do have some color banding in the change of colors, and it's not very bright.
Is that because the resolution is being shrunk down on the display, or you think it's because
I think it's the display itself. In multiple images, for example, if I go to my gallery and I took a really nice photo earlier of food, it was actually your photo.
That's my photo.
Still see that the photos on the Nexus 7 don't look as good as they do on the iPad.
On the other hand, reading books on this is phenomenal.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So you don't have to use the Google Play app to download, Google Books.
Yeah, you can install Kindle, you can install Barnes & Noble Nook app, wherever your books live, you can download the books from there. There are a ton of free books on Google Play. They give you, I think, a $25 credit when you buy this. So you could buy as many, 2 books and change maybe, if the prices are the same.
Yeah, and the Kindle experience, because a lot of people obviously do have Kindles, or a Kindle account, is exactly the same as you'd find on Android, and on the 7-inch sides, perfect.
Yeah, the apps that were limited to Fire work, so you can download comic books from Amazon as well. But just reading books in general, this size is great for laying in bed reading books. You can do it one-handed. You tap the side of the screen to turn the page. It's fantastic. I can't recommend that highly
viewing
enough.
angles are wonderful on this IPS screen. It is also Corning Gorilla Glass, so that's not going to do anything to the glass. No problem.
Do you have fingernails that are harder than normal glass?
Maybe. So in addition to the screen, on the inside, it's pretty much a very high-end Android phone.
Right. This is where it differentiates itself from the Kindle Fire, which was a low-end Android tablet last Christmas. This is a Tegra 3. How much of a memory does it have, Norm?
It has 1 gig of RAM. The Tegra 3 chip is running at 1.2 gigahertz with their 5th core for lower CPU. But that just means that when it's not using the graphics, it can play all the best Android games. But when it's not using that, it's not sucking all that battery life.
And I was able to play both videos that I copied over to it, as well as video stream from Netflix and Amazon and Google and all sorts of other places as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned Netflix. Now, video streaming is actually one of the best things you can do on here, because I don't recommend storing your videos on this device.
Right.
I have the 8 gig model, which is the $200 version.
The entry level.
Entry level. Now, Google does charge tax for the US. If you want you pay additional $50, $55 with tax, you do get an extra 8 gigs. Only about 5 gigs is accessible to the user in the 8 gig model.
And that does go pretty fast. Like I downloaded Max Payne 1 from the Android market, which was about 2 gigs all installed.
So everyone who buys in the US gets Transformers Dark of the Moon, and that movie you can stream or download. If you download it, it's about a 1.5 gig download. So that's already taking up over a third, almost a third of your free space.
You know, it's a good thing we don't give scores to products, because Dark Side of the Moon would be good for -1 or 2 stars.
I think it's a good demonstration of what Google Play Video looks like. If you want to buy from Google Play and you do have that extra $25 credit, I don't recommend storing your videos on here. Use that space for apps.
This is a streaming device.
Stream your video. Same thing with music. Spotify works fine. Audio works fine.
And Google Music, Play Music. If you upload that to the cloud, you get 20,000 songs free or something like that.
And then
that works fine. You
yes.
can stream directly to the device. You don't have to download and cache locally.
Yep. There is a camera on the front. It's a 1.2 megapixel camera. It works for chatting. So Google Plus app, which is built into here.
Have you done a Hangout yet?
I have done a Hangout. I hung out with Joey, and the camera looks fine. It looks really good.
Why didn't you hang out with me?
Oh, because you didn't have your Google Nexus 7 yet. So there is a micro USB port on the bottom for charging, and this actually does come, unlike the Kindles, it does come with a power brick.
Oh, the little plug thing.
And the headphone jack is on the bottom, which is fine. You can actually buy an adapter so you can plug in USB memory sticks into the USB. That's like a $2 adapter you can get on Amazon.
So it'll let you plug in USB memory sticks, like flash card readers. You can even plug in an Xbox 360 controller, and if you have the appropriate software, and play games with the gamepad on this tiny little screen, which seems crazy to me, but I tried it and it worked.
And because the Nexus 7 is completely rootable, you can actually download some apps which will let you turn this into a USB hub. And you can plug in multiple devices, you know, a keyboard, even like a floppy drive.
If you want to make this the shittiest computer in the world, you can totally do that.
You can totally do that. On the side, you have your volume buttons, and there's only one button that turns on sleep mode. So coming over from the iPad and iOS devices, and because there is no physical button in the front, it took me a little while to get used to only having one button to go from sleep to on.
You're used to the home button.
I'm used to having a home button, and you know, if you're holding it with one hand, you have to basically adjust it and press the button to turn it off. And
I
then
find
turn
myself
it back on.
doing the top grab when I pick up.
it's a little bit different. It's kind of weird because I use this as if I use my phone. So I'm walking down the street, I'm reading a book, I'm listening to music, or using something like offline maps, but I'm using 2 hands, and I can't as easily, you know, pull it out of my bag, turn it on, check Instagram or something, check Twitter. It is a 2-handed device still, even though it is light enough to hold with one hand.
One other thing that we should talk about is that it has GPS built in. Unlike most Wi-Fi tablets, which like the iPad, for example, if you get the Wi-Fi version, it only uses Wi-Fi location for GPS. There's no GPS receiver built in. This actually will do that, and it works. And because you can cache Google Maps offline, it means that you can use this for nav, which is fantastic. I was really surprised by that.
Caching Google Maps is actually really simple. You can just, when you're obviously connected to the internet, you go on, you say enable offline caching, and you draw a grid. And I expect you to be generous with the grid. Like I drew the entire Bay Area,
that's what I did.
And it's like 15 megs at most. It obviously doesn't include all the
Street View
no Street View, not all the businesses. But I'm in offline mode right now. I've downloaded San Francisco, and you get full maps functionality. You can rotate. You can even do the tilting if you want the 3D buildings, and also it does have GPS, so it will tell you our location right now.
Hey, we're at the office. What a surprise!
The office. So that ties into Android Jelly Bean. 4.1.
I've had my Nexus 7 for about a day now. Blown away by Jelly Bean. We've been really hard on Android in the past. I haven't had any hitches. I haven't had any keyboard stalls. I haven't had any of the weird lag stuff that used to drive us absolutely crazy every time we tested out an Android device. This is a massive, massive improvement.
That's not to say every single program is, you know, to use Google's phrase, buttery smooth, but it is a massive improvement over even Ice Cream Sandwich.
Definitely. There's still some legacy apps, like their audio app sometimes hangs. I expect that as they update to take advantage of the Jelly Bean APIs, and that stuff will fade away.
I'm still in offline mode right now, so what I can actually do is I can show you offline dictation. And that is a new feature to Jelly Bean. This is something that iOS does not have right now with Siri, because you have to be connected online to do that. So let's do a quick test. This is a test of the Nexus 7's offline dictation mode using Android Jelly Bean 4.1. How are you doing, Will?
I'm doing great, Norm. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well as well. Let's see how well this offline dictation mode worked. And I can tap the pause.
Well, that didn't work very well at all.
Oh, I think It's doing okay.
It's not too bad.
If you enunciate perfectly, I'd say you got around an 80% accuracy rate. If you want to talk as normal, it's going to be a complete mess.
It's funny because I think it varies voice by voice. I've found that this dictation, online rather, is much, much more accurate than Siri, than the dictation built into iOS 5. I haven't tried it offline though, so difficult to say.
Another big feature in Android Jelly Bean 4.1 is something Google's calling Google Now.
Yeah, seems like the future. Basically what they're saying is they know how you behave, they know your patterns, they can predict the information you're going to want before you even know you want it. So you wake up in the morning and look at your tablet, you'll know what the weather is going to be like at work, how long your commute's going to be, all sorts of crazy stuff that sounds impossible.
So after using this for about a week pretty normally, and it does prompt you to ask you, is this your work? Is this your home? It's a little smart. So I'm going to show you Google Now, which you can access by swiping up from the home button.
Or swipe up on the lock screen as well if you don't have a keyboard lock.
Yep. So it knows that I'm in San Francisco because that's where I've been using this device mostly. So it tells me that San Francisco. This is what it knows for sure.
So far, not impressed.
I'm going to show more cards. Now,
wait, what?
It also knows that right now there's 20 minutes if I want to drive from here to home.
That's
and
pretty cool.
I can change. I go directly to navigate, or I can go to settings and it'll let me change my notification options. For example, it'll give me the option to give me a notification, a pop-up notification, if traffic is particularly heavy.
Okay.
So in the morning, because for example it knows where the office is and traffic is very heavy, it'll say traffic is very, very heavy right now.
Why don't you work at home for a little bit?
Well, I won't say that specifically,
okay.
But that's what it's inferring. Maybe you'll change your driving patterns today. And it'll also take your Google searches because it's tied into your Google account. So if I'm on my desktop and, for example, I searched AT&T Park,
okay.
Right? Then if I turn on Google Now, it'll actually give me directions to AT&T Park and also, for example, knowing that that's a Giant Stadium, some Giant scores.
And it knows this because your Google account on the device and your Google account on your computer at home are the same.
Yeah.
And it's able to see the search history between them. One of the other things I noticed is I looked for my flight to PAX last night. It started popping up that flight. So it's not always super smart because my flight to PAX is in a month and a half and it gave me the information about that today.
So in terms of the cards, it's not a wide range of information that can show. It's traffic, weather, public transit, some places. The places stuff isn't really useful to me. Like, I know that there's a bar next door.
Yeah.
I don't need to be reminded of that.
That seems like something you'd use more if you're like traveling to another town that you're maybe not familiar with.
But definitely sports. So it knows that I've searched for Giant scores once before on my Google desktop. So it does pop up, hey, guess what? Yesterday,
exactly
we beat the
same
Padres.
thing. Yeah, 1-7.
We did.
And we
Very
played
good.
them again today. I found that out too.
Awesome.
Amazing.
And Google Now will also let you do your standard Google search.
So you can just say, Google,
where is the nearest Starbucks? Not only will it search for a nearest Starbucks, but it'll automatically go into the Maps app and show navigation to the nearest Starbucks.
And if it's close, it gives you walking directions. If it's far, it gives you driving directions. It's really, really cool. It's kind of the future of what I was hoping smartphones would do for us. When we started hearing about smartphones 5-6 years ago, this is really, really distant future stuff. Now let's
talk about the most used app on a tablet.
Especially on an Android tablet.
On a tablet or a phone, the most important, I'd say next to email, the most important thing you're going to do is browse the web.
Yeah, Chrome, this comes with a full ARM version of Chrome for Android. It means you get tab syncing, history syncing, all the stuff you can passwords sync across. It works very, very much like the desktop browser. And you can even open up tabs that you've closed on the desktop on this device.
Yeah. Super
duper cool.
Accessing your other devices, tabs that you have logged into Google Chrome is one of the best features. And it's not just, obviously not just on Android. If you download Chrome for iOS, you can also do that. You can do it from desktop, but it's an incentive to use Chrome across all your devices.
Well, and Chrome seems to be, in the places that Safari on iOS especially, is falling behind now, Chrome is advancing. You can't see when you're logged into a secure site on iOS, the iOS version of Safari. All sorts of crazy stuff. I'm just waiting for extensions to be added to this version of Chrome, and it will be the best browser I've used on a tablet so far. One thing I did notice, though, is that touch sensitivity is a little bit off inside Chrome. Did you find that to be the case as well?
It depends on the website. For example, if you try to drag while your finger's on a picture, that's not going to work. So you kind of have to find that white space, which is easier on a larger tablet, but not necessarily on a tablet where it's rendering a mobile site.
Honestly, it feels like iOS is maybe a little bit better at picking up intention from where you're mashing with your fat finger. Like when you click on a Reddit link, sometimes it pops up a little blow up and says, hey, do you mean this link or this?
Exactly.
Chrome's really good. You really can't say enough kind things about it. And it uses the actual Chrome renderer rather than this version of WebKit that Safari uses on iOS.
Of course, the widgets are just the same as they were on Android.
Who cares about widgets?
With a bigger screen, the widgets are actually useful. I love the calendar widget, Gmail widget, works fine. You can download all sorts of apps and widgets, whatever you want for Android. My experience with this so far is that I really like just the hyper-awareness of data.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than Windows Phone. It's more than iOS, for sure.
It's the first real benefit I've seen out of giving Google access to all of my data. Like, this is the big thing. You have a people card that has all of your contact information, your places, all the things that kind of matter to you, and then that information is used for powers of good, not evil, which I quite like. I think this is a really good device so far.
And you know, just as the Kindle Fire was kind of a device they sold you really cheap to get you into the Google store, or the Kindle Android store, really Google's pushing Google Play with this. They want you to go into that Play Store. That's why they give you the $25 credit. But you don't have to. You can import your own movies.
You can install the Amazon App Store. You can install Barnes & Noble's bookstore. Anything you want, you can put on as long as there's an app for it, which is the way it should be.
And battery life. Google claims 8 hours. I'm going to say a day and a half of normal use.
So picking up, using it occasionally, walking to and from the train station, riding the train into work, stuff like that.
Yep, and the CPU will obviously decrease percentage usage when it's in sleep mode. There might be a smart cover coming out soon from Google, which will actually put this into deep sleep mode, which will even extend the battery life even more. It's not like the iPad right now where I can turn off the iPad, put it in sleep mode, and then not use it for a week and still have it charged, because there's a lot of background process going on. You know, navigation, the compass. If you disable all that stuff and turn it to medium brightness, you'll get at least a day and a half of battery use from this.
Couple other things to note. There's what seems to be a dock connector on the side. ASUS has already said that there's going to be an audio dock for this. I don't know when that's coming. Don't know anything about that. You mentioned the smart covers. Those seem like they're definitely in the works. I don't know how they'll work with the magnets, or if they'll be smart, or if they'll just be covers. But we'll see when the time comes.
And I've been holding up this entire time. My arm is not even tired.
I've complained about the weight of the iPad for a long time. It's heavier than a Kindle Touch or Kindle Forge, whatever the current generation non-touch Kindle is. It is not so much heavier that you would notice a difference, really. I'm really excited about this. I think it's a slam dunk for Google. At $200, if you've been waiting for a tablet, go for it.
My recommendation is the $200 8GB version. The extra 8 gigabytes only if you if you are traveling a lot and you have no Wi-Fi access and you need to
or you're going to be on airplanes and want to be able to watch movies on the airplane. I think that this is not a movie watching device. No. I think this is a reading, web browsing, Twitter, and Facebook, that kind of stuff.
It does get a little warm on this corner, the back corner here. I don't know if it's because of the battery there or the CPU there, but whether it's running games or just normal browsing the web, it does get a little warm. So when I grip it, I do grip it full width.
Okay. How's the speaker?
The speaker is not that great, not that loud.
$200.
Yeah, use headphones for this. So that is the Nexus 7 from Google, made by ASUS.
It's out now. It's 8 gigabytes, $200. 16 gigabytes, $250. You can't get the 16 gigabyte right now.
You can't get it online. They might have it in stores,
GameSpot and Best Buy and stuff like that.
Staples. It's mostly sold out everywhere. I'd recommend it if you're in the US buying it in store, because Google will charge you tax and shipping.
Yeah.
If you buy it online,
so might as well just go pick it up.
Might as well pick it up and have it that day.
And I don't think it's worth holding out for the 16 gig version. I think the 8 gig version is more than sufficient. For Tested, I'm Will.
I'm Norm.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.